Starving, exhausted, Leo stood on the edge of the canyon, watching the storm roll over the valley. 6 years ago, he'd arrived on Xylos Prime as part of a peaceful mapping mission. It was a paradise world of floating mountains and forests full of glowing plants. But then came the zone of decay, a mysterious phenomenon that turned the planet into a nightmare. The air became toxic, the plants lost their glow and became predators, and the animals mutated into monsters. Leo's squad was gone. Only he and his companions, with whom he lost contact, remained alive. He lived in an abandoned mining base, which he turned into a workshop where he repaired and created devices to survive. "We need a husband, and you need strong offspring," he said to himself. He reached for his radiation meter, which he had been repairing for the past 3 days. Without it, the entire colony would be in great danger. "That's it," he muttered, wiping his hands, stained with oil, on his dirty jumpsuit. Donovan had been stuck on this planet for almost 6 years. What was supposed to be a 6-month contract turned into an endless term when the zone of decay appeared. The port was destroyed in the first week, and with it, all hope of returning to Earth. He went outside, squinting from the sharp light. The human settlement, which was no more than a group of prefabricated shelters, spread out before him in the valley. About 200 people remained, mostly engineers, miners, and a handful of diplomats who found themselves caught up in the alien politics. Leo sat down on a box near his workshop and took a long gulp from his flask. The warm water had a taste of minerals and chemicals they had to use, but it was still water. He closed his blue eyes for a moment, allowing himself a rare moment of rest. "Human." The voice was deep, resonant, and unmistakably female. Leo's eyes snapped open. Standing before him was the tallest woman. No, not a woman, but an alien female he had ever seen. She towered at least 7 feet tall. Her athletic figure was powerfully built, with clearly defined muscles visible under smooth, orange skin. Her face was angular with high cheekbones and piercing, ice-colored eyes that seemed to look right through him. Short white hair framed her face. She wore a form-fitting black armor that emphasized her powerful physique, decorated with what looked like war trophies. A ceremonial blade hung on her hip, its handle worn from use. Leo jumped to his feet, his heart pounding. He immediately recognized her species. Xylonian, one of the dominant species on the planet. But not just a Xylonian. The markings on her armor identified her as a member of the Northern clans, a more aggressive faction in the Civil War. "Can I help you?" he asked, his hand instinctively reaching for the wrench on his workbench. The Xylonian female followed his movement, and her mouth curved in what might have been amusement. "I am Kaelyn, the widow of Chief Krentak of the Northern Reaches," he said. Her voice had the unmistakable tone of a person accustomed to commanding. "You are the human named Leo, the one who repairs machines." It was not a question. Leo nodded cautiously, wondering how she knew his name and what a high-ranking warrior wanted from him. She took a step closer, and Leo had to resist the urge to retreat. Her presence was overwhelming, not just her size, but the very force of personality that emanated from her. "I have been watching you for some time," she continued. "You are strong for a human, resourceful, intelligent." "Thank you," Leo replied, embarrassment evident in his voice. Kaelyn's expression remained stern as she leaned down, bringing her face close to his. Her scent was alien, but not unpleasant, something like cinnamon and ozone. "I need a husband," she stated bluntly. "And you need strong offspring." Leo blinked, sure that he had misheard. "What did I?" he asked. "My position requires that I take a new partner," she explained, as if discussing the weather. "My scouts have observed your human settlement. You struggle for resources, for protection, for purpose." She straightened to her full height. "I can provide these things." Leo's thoughts raced. Was this some kind of joke? A threat? Some cultural misunderstanding? "Listen, I appreciate the offer," he said carefully. "But humans and Xylonians aren't exactly, we're not even the same species." Kaelyn's expression did not change. "Our genetic structures are compatible. This has been confirmed by our scientists. The children will be strong." Leo ran a hand through his short, dark hair trying to make sense of the situation. This is very sudden. I don't even know you. You will, she simply replied. I will return tomorrow for your answer. She turned to leave, then stopped. Think carefully, human. Such opportunities rarely come during a war. As she walked away, her powerful figure stood out against the setting suns. Leo sank back on his box, stunned. Of all the bizarre things that had happened to him on this alien world, this was by far the strangest. And yet, as he watched her disappear behind the ridge, he couldn't deny the small spark of interest that had ignited inside him. Sleep escaped Leo that night. He tossed and turned on his narrow bunk. Kaelyn's offer echoed in his mind. By dawn, he had made a decision. He needed more information before giving her an answer. The human settlement was already buzzing when Leo headed to the trading post. This dilapidated building served as both a market and an unofficial intelligence center. If anyone knew anything about Kaelyn and her clan, it was Micah, the owner of the post. Well, look who it is, said Micah when Leo entered. A grin appeared on the old man's weathered face. I hear you had an interesting visitor yesterday. Leo stopped. News travels fast. A 7-foot orange female warrior visiting a human. Such gossip spreads faster than a reactor leak. Micah gestured to a chair. Sit down. Coffee, please. Leo accepted a chipped mug of bitter liquid. I need information about her. Kaelyn, the widow of Chief Krentak, Micah finished, lowering his voice. Yes, I know who she is. Everyone knows. She asked me to marry her, Leo said bluntly. Micah's mug froze halfway to his lips. Well, I'll be. My thoughts exactly, the old man said, putting down his mug and leaning forward. This is not just about getting you into her bed, son. Xylonian politics are complex, especially in the northern clans. I thought so, Leo said. What's her purpose? Krentak died 6 months ago in battle. Childless. According to their laws, Kaelyn inherited his position and lands. But she needs a partner to secure her right, Micah said, scratching his beard. The thing is, if she takes another Xylonian warrior, it will create an imbalance of power. The new husband will have too much influence, so she needs an outsider, Leo concluded. Someone who cannot threaten the clan hierarchy. Smart boy. A human husband is the perfect option. You're physically compatible enough for offspring, but politically neutral, Micah said. He paused. But there's something else. Rumor has it that there is a faction in her clan that wants to overthrow her, led by Krentak's brother, Vrock, an unpleasant personality. Leo digested this information. So I'm entering a political minefield with benefits, Micah added with a knowing smile. Kaelyn's territory includes the richest agricultural lands on the continent, access to fresh food, clean water, normal housing, luxuries we haven't seen in years, and all I have to do is be her breeding partner. The words sounded strange in Leo's mouth. Don't sell yourself short, a female voice said from the doorway. Both men turned to see Lena, one of the few remaining scientists in the settlement. She walked up to their table with a purposeful gait. Xylonians don't just choose partners for political convenience, she explained, sitting down uninvited. They are incredibly physical beings. If Kaelyn chose you, there's definitely an attraction there. Leo felt his face flush. You mean she actually wants me physically? Xylonian females are attracted to competence and resilience, Lena said. They find our adaptability fascinating. And you, my friend, have survived on this hellish planet for 6 years, performing a vital role in the community. Plus, Micah added, winking, you don't look so bad for a mechanic. Leo rolled his eyes, but couldn't suppress a slight smile. So what should I do? That's up to you, Lena said. Are you attracted to her? The question caught Leo off guard. He hadn't allowed himself to consider this aspect yet. But now, thinking about Kaelyn's powerful presence, her icy blue eyes, the commanding way she carried herself, he couldn't deny a primal attraction to her. Maybe, he admitted, but she's so different. Alien. Different can be good, Lena said with a knowing smile. Their physiology is surprisingly compatible with ours. Some differences, obviously, but nothing that would prevent satisfaction. Leo suddenly felt his collar was too tight. You seem to know a lot about this. Lena shrugged. I was with a Xylonian male before the war. Believe me, it's a memorable experience. Before Leo could make sense of this revelation, the door of the trading post swung open again. Silence descended on the room as Kaelyn slipped through the entrance, her imposing figure filling the doorway. Her eyes immediately found Leo. The other people scattered, leaving a clear path between them. "You sought information about me," she stated, approaching his table. "It was not a question. I needed to understand what I was getting into," Leo replied, standing up to meet her. Something like approval flickered in her eyes. "Wise. A partner who acts without knowledge is useless." She came closer, so close that Leo could feel the heat emanating from her body. "Did you find out what you wanted to know?" "Some things," he admitted, "but I still have questions." "Ask them now." "Why me? There are other humans here." Kaelyn's gaze slowly slid over his body, then returned to his eyes. The intensity of her evaluation sent a shiver down Leo's spine that was not entirely unpleasant. "You build, you repair, you create from nothing," her voice lowered. "These are the traits I desire in the father of my children." The directness of her statement, combined with her unwavering gaze, made Leo's heart beat faster. There was no guile in her manner, only raw, honest desire. "What if I say yes?" he asked, his voice rougher than he expected. "Then you will come to my territory. You will be my consort. We will produce offspring." A hint of something softer appeared in her expression. "And, perhaps, over time, we will find something more than duty between us." "Yes," Leo said, the word hanging between them in the suddenly quiet trading post. "I accept your offer." A murmur rippled through the onlookers. Kaelyn's expression remained stoic, but Leo caught a glimpse of satisfaction in her icy blue eyes. "You have chosen wisely," she declared. "Pack your most essential belongings. We leave at noon." With that, she turned and left, leaving Leo to face his fellow humans. "Well," Micah said, breaking the silence, "you've got balls. I'll give you that." 3 hours later, Leo stood on the edge of the settlement with one bag containing his tools, a few personal items, and some spare clothes. The leaders of the human community had given their blessing, recognizing the potential benefits of having one of their own in Kaelyn's clan. Kaelyn arrived exactly at noon, accompanied by 4 Xylonian warriors on massive 6-legged mounts that resembled something between horses and rhinos. Without ceremony, she extended her hand, pulling Leo up behind her onto her mount. "Hold on tight," she commanded. "The journey will not be easy." Leo wrapped his arms around her waist, immediately aware of the powerful muscles beneath her armor. Her body radiated heat, like a furnace, a trait of Xylonian physiology he hadn't expected. The proximity was both intimidating and strangely thrilling. They rode for hours through rugged terrain, eventually climbing a ridge that opened up a view of a sprawling complex located in a fertile valley. Unlike the barren wastelands surrounding the human settlement, Kaelyn's territory boasted running water, cultivated fields, and structures built from local stone and metal, not from scattered materials. "Your new home," Kaelyn said, pointing to the complex. As they approached, Leo noticed Xylonians stopping their activities to watch. Their expressions ranged from curiosity to open hostility. "They don't seem thrilled about my arrival," he noted. "They will accept you when you prove your worth," Kaelyn replied. "Words mean nothing to my people. Actions are what matter." The central building was an impressive structure of stone and metal, clearly designed for both defense and status. Kaelyn led Leo through corridors adorned with weapons and battle trophies until they reached what looked like personal quarters. "These rooms are yours," she said, opening a door that revealed a spacious room with furniture that combined Xylonian aesthetics with surprising comfort. Leo put down his backpack. "You will join me for the evening meal, where you will be introduced to the clan council." Leo sat down. "And after that," Kaelyn's gaze intensified, "after that, we will begin what you humans call marriage." The directness of her statement made Leo's body feel warm. He couldn't be mistaken about her meaning. "I should warn you," he said, finding his voice. "Human marital customs are probably different from what you're used to." A rare smile curved Kaelyn's lips. I have studied your kind. Your methods interest me." Before Leo could respond to this provocative statement, she continued, "Rest now. Bathe if you wish. The council will be testing you tonight, and you must be on your guard." After she left, Leo surveyed his new quarters, finding a bathing room with actual running water, a luxury he hadn't experienced in years. He took off his dusty clothes and entered the stone pool, sighing as the warm water washed over him. The evening meal proved to be the test Kaelyn had warned him about. In a hall filled with Xylonian warriors and clan officials, Leo was subjected to intense scrutiny and thinly veiled challenges. He answered their questions directly, refusing to show intimidation, despite being the only human in a room full of beings who could tear him apart. When asked about his skills, he spoke confidently of his engineering abilities. When asked about his intentions toward Kaelyn, he honestly replied that, while their arrangement began as mutual benefit, he respected her and hoped to build something meaningful. Throughout the meal, he felt Kaelyn's gaze on him. Every time he met her eyes, the intensity made his pulse quicken. After the council members left, Kaelyn led Leo back to their quarters in silence. The tension between them had been building all evening, a palpable force that seemed to charge the air. Inside her quarters, more spacious and richly decorated than his, she finally turned to him. Without ceremony, she began to remove her armor piece by piece. "You handled yourself well," she said, putting aside her breastplate. "Many expected you to be intimidated." "Not exactly my style," Leo replied, trying to keep his voice steady as more of her orange skin was revealed with each piece of armor removed. "No," she agreed, coming closer. "It is not. That is why I chose you." She stood before him now in a simple undergarment that left little to the imagination. The powerful muscles of her arms and legs rippled as she moved, and yet there was an undeniable femininity to her figure that captivated Leo's gaze. "In my culture," she said, reaching out to touch his face, "a union must be sealed physically to be recognized." Leo swallowed. "In mine too, as a matter of fact," he said. Her fingers gently traced his jawline. "Your skin is different from ours. Softer." Her touch moved to his lips. Fascinating. Leo's self-control broke. He reached up, pulling her down to his level, and kissed her. For a moment, she tensed in surprise, then responded with an intensity that took his breath away. What followed was a discovery of differences and surprising similarities. Where Leo expected alienness, he often found common ground. Where he expected familiarity, he discovered thrilling differences. Throughout all, Kaelyn's strength matched his own passion, neither dominating nor submitting, but meeting as equals in a dance as old as life itself. Later, as they lay together in the darkness, Kaelyn's hand resting possessively on his chest, Leo realized that whatever political calculations had brought them together, something far more primal and honest now connected them. Leo woke up to the unfamiliar feeling of a soft bed and warm sunlight streaming through the tall windows. For a moment, he forgot where he was, until he felt the weight of Kaelyn's arm on his chest. She slept beside him, her usually stern face softened in repose. 2 weeks had passed since his arrival at the complex, and each day brought new challenges and discoveries. The clan's initial skepticism toward him had begun to melt as he proved his worth, although pockets of resistance remained. He carefully slipped out from under Kaelyn's arm, admiring her powerful figure as she stirred but did not wake. Their nights together had been a revelation, passionate, intense, and at times surprisingly tender. What had begun as a practical arrangement was turning into something neither of them had expected. Leo quietly got dressed and headed to what had become his workshop inside the complex. The Xylonians had provided him with a place to work, although they had initially doubted what a human engineer could offer their technologically advanced society. Those doubts vanished when Leo redesigned their water filtration system, increasing efficiency by 30%. Now he was working on a more ambitious project, upgrading the complex's defensive perimeter. He was deeply focused, sketching out schematics for sensor arrays that would detect approaching threats. That's when Kaelyn's most trusted warrior, entered. The human works while others sleep, the massive Xylonian noted, his deep voice resonating in the workshop. Old habits, Leo replied, without looking up. He had learned that showing deference to Xylonian warriors would only earn their contempt. What can I do for you, Ka? The perimeter alarm on the eastern wall failed again last night. Leo frowned. That's the third time this week. I checked those circuits myself yesterday. Perhaps your human technology is incompatible with ours, Ka suggested, though without the malice such comments carried weeks ago. Or perhaps someone doesn't want them to work, Leo muttered, putting down his tools. I'll check it again. As they walked to the eastern wall, Leo noticed Ka watching him with an unusual intensity. You have changed, Kaelyn, the warrior finally said. Leo glanced at him, unsure if it was a criticism or an observation. In what way? She smiles now. Sometimes. And she speaks of new ways, different approaches to old problems. Is that a bad thing? It is unexpected. Ka stopped. There is something else. The clan healer wishes to speak with you both. She sent me to find you after meeting with Kaelyn this morning. A knot formed in Leo's stomach. Is Kaelyn okay? She is fine. More than fine, according to the healer, Ka said, a rare smile appearing on his stone face. But that is not my news to share. They reached the eastern wall, where Leo found that the alarm system had indeed been tampered with. Wires had been carefully cut and reconnected to bypass the sensors. This was deliberate sabotage, not equipment failure. Someone doesn't want us to know if we have guests from this side, Leo said, showing Ka the evidence. Any ideas who would want to leave us vulnerable? Ka's expression darkened. Vrak has supporters within our walls. This would be their work. Leo repaired the system, adding a modification that would personally notify him if anyone tried to tamper with it again. As they returned to the central complex, they came across a group of young Xylonians engaged in combat training. Hey, human, one of them said, a warrior named Drin who had been particularly vocal in his disdain for Leo. Show us how your kind fights. Or do you only fight with wires and tools? The challenge hung in the air. Leo knew that refusing would be seen as weakness, but agreeing meant facing an opponent superior in strength and reach. I'll pass today, Leo replied evenly. I have more important things to do. Like warming our leader's bed, Dren sneered. That seems to be your only true skill. Ka stepped forward, but Leo placed a hand on the warrior's arm, a gesture that silenced the onlookers with its familiarity. You know, Leo said, on Earth we have a saying, work smarter, not harder. He walked over to a weapons rack and selected a training staff. For example, why exhaust yourself trying to overpower an opponent when you can use his own strength against him? He tossed the staff to Dren, who caught it instinctively. Attack me. The young Xylonian hesitated, then lunged forward with a powerful strike. Leo sidestepped, caught the staff with one hand, and used Dren's momentum to throw him off balance. A quick leg sweep from Leo, and the warrior collapsed to the ground. That's how humans fight, Leo said, extending a hand to help Dren up. We adapt. To his surprise, Dren accepted his help and got up, looking at Leo with newfound respect. You have to teach me that technique tomorrow, Leo promised. In the meantime, I need to find Kaelyn. He found her in their quarters, standing by the window overlooking the complex. She turned when he entered, and Leo was struck by a subtle change in her demeanor, a softness around her eyes, a new awareness in how her hand rested protectively on her stomach. The healer spoke with you, he said, immediately understanding. Kaelyn nodded. Our union has borne fruit sooner than expected. The healer says, I am carrying a child. Our child. Leo crossed the room in 3 steps and took her hands in his. How was this possible so quickly? Human and Xylonian biology are more compatible than our scientists believed, she explained. The healer says the child is strong, developing rapidly. A rare, genuine smile transformed her face. You have performed your part of our arrangement with impressive efficiency. Leo laughed softly, then became serious. This changes everything. Brock will see our child as a direct threat to his claim to the throne. Yes, Kaelyn agreed. Therefore, we must strengthen our position before the news spreads. She squeezed his hands. The clan council meets tomorrow. I want you to be there, not as my consort, but as my equal. Your equal? Leo raised an eyebrow. That's not how Xylonian traditions work, is it? Perhaps it is time for new traditions, Kaelyn said. Your human ways have shown me alternatives to our rigid customs. Together, we can lead the clan into a future that is stronger than our past. As she spoke, Leo realized how much had changed between them in such a short time. What began as a transaction, I need a husband, and you need strong offspring, had turned into a partnership neither of them expected. And now, with a child on the way and enemies moving against them, that partnership would face its greatest test. The clan council hall was an impressive circular room carved from the stone of Xylos Prime. Its high ceiling was supported by massive columns on which the history of Kaelyn's people was carved. 12 seats, arranged in a semicircle, stood opposite the chief's throne, on which Kaelyn now sat. Her posture was regal, despite the tension that filled the air. Leo stood on her right hand, dressed in a modified version of the Xylonian official attire, which fit his smaller stature but still marked him as an important person. The expressions of the council members ranged from curiosity to barely concealed hostility as they took their seats. The council is convened, announced Merrick, the eldest member and traditional keeper of clan law. Kaelyn, the widow of Krentak and leader of the Northern Reaches, has convened us to discuss matters of succession and security. Kaelyn rose, her commanding presence drawing all eyes. Counselors, I have brought news that will determine the future of our clan. I am carrying a child, the heir to the legacy of Krentak and mine. A whisper rippled through the hall. Leo watched the council members carefully, noting who seemed pleased with this announcement and who did not. Yarn, Kaelyn's chief advisor, leaned forward with particular interest, his eyes darting between Kaelyn and Leo. A child so soon? Asked Merrick. His tone was neutral, but his gaze was skeptical. With a human? Yes, Kaelyn confirmed without hesitation. Our biology proved to be more compatible than our scientists expected. The clan healer has confirmed the child is strong and healthy. This is unprecedented, said Lyra, one of the few female council members. A half-human heir to the Northern Reach. What powers will such a child possess? What weaknesses? Strength comes in many forms, Eric interjected, earning surprised looks from several counselors unaccustomed to hearing a consort speak during formal proceedings. On Earth, we call it hybrid vigor. The offspring of different genetic lines often exhibit the best traits of both. Yarn's lips curled in a barely perceptible smile. The human speaks of breeding as if discussing livestock. How practical. I speak of our child, Leo corrected firmly, who will have the advantage of two worlds' knowledge and strengths. Before Yarn could respond, alarms blared throughout the compound. The council members rose in confusion as Ka burst into the chamber. We are under attack, he shouted. The Eastern clan has breached the outer perimeter. Chaos erupted as counselors reached for weapons and guards rushed to defensive positions. Kaelyn immediately took command, issuing orders with the practiced efficiency of a born leader. Leo, she called, activate your new defense systems. Ka, organize the warriors at the main gate. Yarn, get the non-combatants to the shelter. As the council chamber emptied, Leo caught a glimpse of Yarn slipping away in a direction opposite the shelters. Something about the advisor's calm demeanor amid the panic triggered Leo's suspicions. Kaelyn, he said quickly, I don't trust Yarn. The timing of this attack is too convenient. She nodded, having learned to trust his intuition. Go to the control room. I will handle the defense at the gate. Be careful, Leo urged, placing a hand on her abdomen. Both of you. Her eyes softened momentarily as she covered his hand with hers. A warrior is always careful. Go. Leo raced to the control room, a chamber he had modified extensively over the past weeks to house the central hub of his new defense network. As he entered, he spotted a figure hunched over the main console. Yarn was methodically disabling the security protocols. I thought you might show up, the advisor said without turning around. And traitors are predictably cowardly, Leo replied, edging closer. Working with Vrock, or is it the Eastern Clan directly? Yarn straightened, revealing a weapon in his hand. Both, actually. Vrock promised me a position of power once he takes control, and the Easterners are eager to eliminate Kaelyn while she's vulnerable. Vulnerable? Leo laughed. You've clearly never seen her fight. Perhaps not, Yarn conceded. But even she cannot fight while protecting a child in her womb. Your child has made her weak, human. That's where you're wrong, Leo said, inching toward a tool he'd left on a nearby workbench. It's made her stronger, given her something more to fight for. Yarn raised his weapon. Enough talk. Step away from the console. In one fluid motion, Leo grabbed the tool, a heavy wrench, and hurled it at Yarn's head. The advisor ducked, but the distraction gave Leo enough time to lunge forward, tackling him to the ground. The weapon skittered across the floor as they grappled. Despite his smaller size, Leo's combat training with Ka over the past weeks had taught him to use a Xylonian's greater weight against them. He twisted, using Yarn's momentum to flip him over, then delivered a sharp blow to the nerve cluster at the base of the alien's neck. A vulnerability Ka had specifically pointed out. Yarn went limp, temporarily paralyzed. Leo quickly bound him with cable ties, then turned to the console. The damage was extensive, but not irreparable. His fingers flew over the controls, bypassing damaged systems and rerouting power to the defensive grid. Outside, the sounds of battle intensified. Leo activated the compound's communication system. Kaelyn, can you hear me? I hear you, came her strained reply, the background filled with a clash of weapons and shouts of combat. Yarn sabotaged the defenses. He's working with Vrock and the Eastern Clan. I've got him secured, and I'm bringing the systems back online now. Hurry, she urged. We are outnumbered. Leo's modifications to the compound's defenses included automated turrets and a shield generator salvage from crashed spacecraft. As he brought each system online, the tide of battle began to turn. The Eastern Clan warriors, expecting easy entry through the sabotage defenses, instead found themselves facing unexpected resistance. When the last system came online, Leo raced to join the battle. Grabbing a weapon from the security locker, he arrived at the main gate to find Kaelyn in the thick of combat. Her movements were a blur of lethal precision, despite the child she carried. She fought with the ferocity of a mother, protecting not just her clan, but the future growing within her. Leo joined Ka's squad, using his smaller size and quickness to dart between larger combatants, disabling rather than killing when possible. His Earth combat training, so different from the Xylonians' direct approach, confused the enemy warriors who had never fought a human before. As the battle raged, a massive figure pushed through the Eastern Clan forces. Vrock, Krentak's brother, his armor adorned with trophies from countless kills. He headed straight for Kaelyn, hatred burning in his eyes. The widow and her human pet, he snarled. Today I reclaim what should have been mine. Leo locked eyes with Kaelyn across the battlefield. In that moment of silent communication, a plan formed between them, a perfect synthesis of human strategy and Xylonian strength. Kaelyn, widow of Krentak, Vrock's voice boomed across the battlefield. I challenge you for leadership of the Northern Reach, as is my right by blood. The fighting around them slowed as warriors from both sides recognized the formal challenge. According to ancient Xylonian tradition, clan leadership could be contested through single combat, a practice rarely invoked but deeply respected. Kaelyn straightened, her weapon held ready. I accept your challenge, Vrock. Leo pushed through the crowd toward her. Kaelyn, you can't. I must. She cut him off, her voice low. To refuse would show weakness. Vrock's laugh was cruel. The widow carries a half-breed whelp. She is in no condition to fight for leadership. His gaze shifted to Leo, unless her human pet wishes to die in her place. A murmur rippled through the gathered warriors. Leo felt dozens of eyes turned toward him, measuring, judging. Merrick stepped forward from the council members who had joined the battle. There is precedent, the elders stated. The ancient laws allow a mate to stand as champion when the challenged is with child. A human. Vrock spat. This mockery of our traditions only proves my point. The widow has weakened our clan with foreign influence. Leo met Kaelyn's eyes. In the weeks they'd been together, he'd learned to read her expressions, the subtle shifts that others missed. Now he saw concern, pride, and something deeper that made his heart race. "I'll stand for you," he said quietly. "Leo, he will kill you," she replied, her voice barely audible. "Vrak has never lost a challenge. Neither have I." Leo smiled. "Different kinds of battles, but the principle's the same. Trust me." After a moment of hesitation, Kaelyn nodded and turned to Merrick. "I invoke the right of champion. My mate will fight in my stead." Vrak's expression shifted from contempt to predatory anticipation. "The human accepts. Excellent. When I crush his skull, I will take both your territory and your life, widow." "State the terms," Merrick commanded, his voice carrying the weight of tradition. "To first blood would be too easy," Vrak sneered. "The human would fall in seconds. To submission or incapacitation." "Agreed," Leo said before Kaelyn could object. Merrick raised his hands. "The challenge is set. Prepare the combat circle." Warriors from both clans quickly formed a large ring. Weapons pointed outward to prevent interference. Leo removed his outer garments, stripping down to a light undershirt and pants that would allow maximum mobility. Across the circle, Vrak did the same, revealing a torso covered in battle scars and ritual markings. Ka approached, offering Leo a ceremonial blade. "You will need this." "No," Leo replied, surprising the warrior. "I'll fight my way." "He is twice your size and strength," Ka warned. "Exactly," Leo grinned. "That's his weakness, not mine." As Leo stepped into the circle, Kaelyn caught his arm. The public display of affection shocked the onlookers. Xylonian warriors traditionally showed no emotion before a battle. "Remember what I taught you about our anatomy," she said. "And remember what you taught me about human ingenuity." Her hand briefly touched her abdomen. "We are both fighting with you." The intensity in her icy blue eyes sent a surge of determination through Leo. This was no longer about survival or political maneuvering. This was about protecting his new family and the future they could build together. Merrick called them to the center of the circle. "The challenge will commence on my signal. May the strongest lead." Vrak towered over Leo, nearly 8 feet of muscle and aggression. "Any last words, human?" "Just one piece of advice," Leo replied calmly. "Don't underestimate what you don't understand." Merrick dropped his hand, and Vrak lunged immediately. A roar tore from his throat as he attempted to end the fight with a single crushing blow. Leo sidestepped with the fluid grace he developed during weeks of training with Ka, allowing the massive Xylonian's momentum to carry him past. The crowd murmured in surprise. They had expected the human to be immediately overwhelmed. Vrak recovered quickly, turning with unexpected speed for his size. "Lucky dodge," he snarled, circling more cautiously. "Not luck," Leo replied, maintaining his distance. "Physics." This time, when Vrak attacked, Leo didn't dodge completely. Instead, he redirected the force of the blow using techniques he'd learned from Earth martial arts combined with Ka's lessons on Xylonian fighting styles. The result sent Vrak stumbling, off balance, but unharmed. For several minutes, they continued this dance. Vrak attacked with increasing frustration while Leo evaded and redirected, never striking directly, but gradually wearing down his larger opponent. The watching warriors began to understand the human strategy. He couldn't match Vrak's strength, so he was using it against him. "Fight me properly, coward," Vrak bellowed, after another failed assault left him panting. "I am," Leo replied calmly. "Just not by your rules." Fury overtook Vrak's tactical sense. He charged recklessly, arms outstretched to grab the human. Leo waited until the last possible moment before dropping to the ground and rolling between Vrak's legs. As he came up behind the Xylonian, he struck precisely at the nerve cluster at the base of the spine, the same point he'd used to incapacitate Yarn. Vrak's legs buckled, but his momentum carried him forward into the edge of the circle where he collided with several warriors. In the confusion, something clattered to the ground, a small device that Leo immediately recognized as a remote detonator. Check the compound, Leo shouted. He's planted explosives. Ka and several warriors rushed to search as Vrock struggled to regain his footing, the temporary paralysis already wearing off. His face contorted with hatred as he realized his backup plan had been discovered. You think you've won? He snarled at Leo. Even if you defeat me, the clan will never truly accept a human or his half-breed offspring. Leo circled wearily. That's where you're wrong, Vrock. They've already started to. Not because I demanded it, but because I earned it. One day at a time, one challenge at a time. Vrock lunged again, but his movements were slower now, his legendary stamina finally flagging. Leo met this attack differently, stepping into Vrock's reach rather than away from it. Using the Xylonian's own momentum, he executed a perfect throw that sent Vrock crashing to the ground with Leo on top, his forearm pressed against Vrock's windpipe. Yield, Leo commanded. Never. Vrock gasped, struggling against the hold. Leo increased the pressure just enough to demonstrate his control without causing permanent damage. I don't want to kill you, Vrock. That's the difference between us. I'm fighting for something, not against someone. For a moment, it seemed Vrock might continue resisting. Then, with a growl of defeat, he slapped his hand against the ground, the Xylonian signal of submission. The circle erupted in shouts as Leo released his hold and stood. Kaelyn pushed through the warriors, her face alight with fierce pride. Without hesitation, she pulled Leo into an embrace that lifted him off his feet, then kissed him deeply before the entire clan. Another break with tradition that left the onlookers stunned. "My champion," she said as she set him down, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent gathering. "My mate." Merrick stepped forward. "The challenge is decided. Leo of Earth has stood as champion for Kaelyn, leader of the Northern Reach, and prevailed. By our most ancient laws, her position is secured and her chosen mate recognized." As the clan warriors knelt in formal acknowledgement, Carr returned with several others. "We found explosive devices throughout the compound," he reported. "All have been disabled." Kaelyn's expression hardened as she turned to Vrock, who was being held by two warriors. "Assassination and sabotage. You dishonor our clan and our ancestors. What will you do with him?" Leo asked quietly. Kaelyn considered for a moment. "Traditional punishment would be execution," she looked at Leo. "But perhaps there is wisdom in your human ways. What would your people do?" "Exile," Leo suggested. "Let him live with his failure, far from the clan and its resources." Kaelyn nodded slowly. "So be it. Vrock is banished from the Northern Reach, stripped of rank and name. If he returns, his life is forfeit." As Vrock was led away, the Eastern clan warriors, seeing their ally defeated and their surprise attack thwarted, began a strategic retreat. The battle was over, at least for now. That night, as Leo and Kaelyn lay together in their chambers, her hand traced the bruises forming on his body from the combat. "You fought well today," she murmured. "Not as a Xylonian would fight, but as only a human could." "I had something worth fighting for," Leo replied, his hand coming to rest on the slight swell of her abdomen, where their child grew. "Something I never expected to find on this planet." Kaelyn's usually stern features softened in the dim light. "When I first came to your settlement and said I needed a husband and you needed strong offspring, I spoke only of practical matters." Her voice lowered to a whisper. "I did not expect this." "This?" Leo prompted, though he knew what she meant. "This feeling," she admitted, "this connection." Leo smiled, pulling her closer. "On Earth we have a word for it." "Tell me," she demanded softly. "Love," he said simply. "We call it love." 6 months after Vrock's defeat, the Northern Reach compound bustled with unusual activity. Warriors and clan members hurried through the corridors, carrying ceremonial items and speaking in excited tones. In the central courtyard, a delegation from the human settlement was arriving, led by Micah and Lena, bearing gifts and supplies. Inside the clan leader quarters, Leo paced nervously outside the birthing chamber. Xylonian tradition forbade males from the birthing process until the child's first cry had been heard, a custom Leo had reluctantly agreed to honor despite his human instinct to be at Kaelyn's side. Ka watched his friend's anxious movements with amusement. You humans are strange creatures. Our males typically spend birthing time in combat practice to honor the strength needed to bring forth life. Different ways of showing concern, Leo replied, pausing his pacing. On Earth, fathers often stay with the mother during childbirth. Truly, Ka looked genuinely shocked. And this helps the birthing? It's about support, not practical assistance, Leo explained. Being there for someone you love during a challenging time. Ka considered this. Your human ways still surprise me, yet I cannot deny their effectiveness. He gestured around them. Look at what you have accomplished in half a cycle. Our defenses are stronger, our harvest more bountiful, and our clan more united than in living memory. Leo smiled, acknowledging the compliment. The months since his victory over Vrock had been transformative for the clan. His engineering innovations had improved everything from irrigation systems to defensive capabilities. While Kaelyn's leadership had grown more inclusive, incorporating human concepts of cooperation alongside traditional Xylonian strength, their relationship had deepened as well. What began as a pragmatic arrangement had blossomed into a genuine partnership. Their nights together had become not just physical satisfaction, but a communion of souls. Moments of vulnerability and tenderness that neither had expected to find in the other. A sudden, powerful cry echoed from the birthing chamber. Not Kaelyn's voice, but the unmistakable wail of a newborn. Leo froze, his heart pounding as the door swung open. The clan healer emerged, her usually stern face split with a rare smile. Enter, human. Meet your son. Leo rushed inside to find Kaelyn propped up on a ceremonial birthing couch, looking exhausted but triumphant. In her arms was a small bundle with a shock of dark hair visible at one end. Leo, she said softly as he approached. Come meet your son. He knelt beside her, overwhelmed as she turned the bundle toward him. The child's skin was a pale orange, lighter than Kaelyn's, but definitely Xylonian in hue. His features were a perfect blend of both parents. Kaelyn's high cheekbones and Leo's nose. Tiny pointed ears that split the difference between human roundness and Xylonian elongation. But most striking were his eyes, deep blue like Leo's, but with the iridescent quality of Kaelyn's people. He's perfect, Leo whispered, gently touching the child's cheek. Strong, Kaelyn agreed, her voice filled with pride. The healer says his hybrid nature gives him advantages. His heart is more efficient than either of our species, and his muscle density suggests he will have both Xylonian strength and human dexterity. Leo laughed softly, already analyzing his tactical advantages. He's barely an hour old. He is the future, Kaelyn replied seriously. The first of his kind, a bridge between our worlds. What shall we name him? Leo asked, carefully taking the child as Kaelyn offered him. In my culture, the father named sons, she said. But perhaps we should honor both traditions. Leo thought for a moment. On Earth, children often carry family names. My father was David. Kaelyn considered this. A strong name, but not Xylonian enough for the clan to accept. Her brow furrowed in thought. What about Krenta? It honors my late husband's lineage while creating something new. Krenta David. Leo tested the name, looking down at his son. A name from both worlds for a child of both worlds. The baby opened his eyes fully, then seemed to focus on his father with an awareness that startled Leo. In that moment, he felt the weight of what they had created. Not just a child, but a new beginning. Later that day, in accordance with Xylonian tradition, Kaelyn and Leo presented Krenta to the clan in a formal ceremony. The Great Hall was filled not only with clan members, but also with humans from the settlement, marking the first time such an integration had occurred. Merrick, as the eldest council member, performed the traditional blessing, but with modifications that acknowledged the child's unique heritage. Today we welcome Krenta David, son of Kaelyn and Leo, heir to the Northern Reach and ambassador of two worlds. As Merrick held the child up for all to see, a cheer rose from both Xylonians and humans alike. Leo stood beside Kaelyn, his hand clasped in hers, marveling at how far they had come from that first meeting outside his workshop. I told you that you needed strong offspring, Kaelyn murmured to him, a rare, teasing note in her voice. And I needed a husband, Leo completed, smiling up at her. Seems we were both right. The celebration continued long into the night with unprecedented mingling between humans and Xylonians. Leo watched as Micah taught a group of warriors a traditional earth dance, while Lena engaged in animated discussion with the clan healer about the medical implications of successful human Xylonian reproduction. As the festivities wound down, Leo found Kaelyn on the balcony overlooking the compound. Their son was sleeping peacefully in her arms. "What are you thinking?" he asked, joining her at the railing. "About the future," she replied. "Our son will not be the last of his kind. Already 3 other human Xylonian pairings have formed since our union became known." Leo nodded. "The beginning of something new." "Yes," Kaelyn agreed. "But it would not have happened without you, without your human adaptability and courage." She turned to face him fully. "When I came to your settlement that day, I sought only a practical solution to a political problem. I found instead a new path forward for our entire world." Leo smiled, remembering how commanding she had looked, how absurd her proposition had seemed. "I need a husband, and you need strong offspring," she had declared, as if it were the simplest thing in the world. "We've come a long way from that day," he said, wrapping an arm around her waist. "Yes," she agreed, leaning into him despite her greater height. "But the journey has only begun." As they stood together under the alien stars, their son nestled between them, Leo knew she was right. What had started as a transaction had become a transformation, not just for them, but for 2 species who might never have discovered how perfectly they could complement each other. And it had all begun with a proposition as direct and uncompromising as the remarkable woman who had made it.